In medieval times, your food was based on what your status was.
If you were poor, you'd have things like barley, and you couldn't have things like white bread. When if you're rich, you could have things like white bread and varieties of meats.
The rich people ate white bread. The poor people were not allowed to have white bread.
Eat your bread.
Eat the bread.
The medieval people ate at very different times than us.
They ate breakfast on a daily basis at 6 to 7 a.m.
That's early! Meals were announced ready when a hired person would blow a horn to signal it was ready.
Wake up!
They ate dinner at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
Whoa! And supper was served from 6 to 7 p.m. In medieval times, if you wanted a burger, you couldn't just go to Burger King.
You had to work a lot harder for your food.
Welcome to Burger King. Order.
May I have a double cheeseburger?
No! People also usually wash their hands before their meal.
Seating was also very important. The most important guests sat at high tables and poor did not.
Though the rich would sit and eat on the very finest of chairs,
while the poor didn't have any choice but to sit on the ground. Manners were very important in this time period. You couldn't do things such as put your elbows on the tables, not to drink or eat with your mouth that's already full, and can never have hands dirty. Must always be clean. Not only dinner, supper, and breakfast was served, but desserts were also served, such as
tarts with strawberries and other fruits in them, and waffles. They used a lot of mustard. Servants didn't have a very good life. They were forced to live on ground. In medieval times, they used a lot of honey and salt.
On their food, they would never forget such a thing, especially barley. Rice, oranges, and pomegranates were also used as sides for their meals,
to give it a little bit of
pizzazz. In medieval times, spices were very expensive. We would have to travel all the way over to India to get our spices.
If foods are rotten, you would just sprinkle spices on to make it taste better.
And then you'd still eat it.
Ew!
Yucky!
Gross!
Yucky! In medieval times, they did not eat off of plates.
They ate off of bread called trenchers.
Like bread plates.
Yum! The first thing served in a meal was bread with olive oil. In the medieval times, they had a lot to drink, like water, milk, juices, and even cider.
They used honey on everything,
especially bitter foods, to sweeten it up.
Vegetables and fruits were the most popular things in the medieval times, like strawberries, cabbage, beets, onions, carrots, plums, pears, grapes, and apples.
And onions.
Oh, what's that for?
Not ready.